And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. So friends, for the last few weeks, for the last dozens of episodes, we've been on a mini series working around this idea of the eight-figure exit, Is it possible? Is it possible for you as a business owner, for me as a business owner, is it possible for us to build a business to where somebody, another company, a person, an employee, somebody would say, hey, we see the value in your company and we're willing to pay you eight figures for your business. Whenever I was talking through the eight-figure exit at a group somewhere, someone said a decamillionaire. In other words, we're past the $9 million net worth. Now we're in the eight figures and we're seeing 10 million plus, a decamillionaire. It is possible, friends. I work with many business owners nationally. Have many friends in the business world who own businesses. I myself have dealt with exits over my career. In fact, as of today, I've gone through 7 transactions, 7 different business sales in my own career that I personally have had either 100% equity in or some sort of majority equity stake within a company. And let me tell you firsthand, it is possible to have an 8-figure exit. So over the last many weeks, many episodes, we've been covering the various concepts, trying to dive into the nuances a little deeper than the entry-level business documentation or education we often walk toward. We took it a layer deeper and hit some very specific areas. Now, just to set the framework for today's wrap-up podcast for our 8-figure exit, I want to remind you that the way I view business is through 8 key components: planning, leadership, sales, marketing, people, operation, finance, and legal. There are 8 key components for business that we as business owners can adjust, emphasize, pull back, manipulate, whatever we need to do to drive our businesses forward. Now, over this last series that we've been going through, this mini series around the 8-figure exit, I took the approach of dealing with one particular industry, and that was the financial advisor industry. Why? Because I have so many colleagues and friends from my 20 plus years in the financial advisor industry that often call me and say, hey, Justin, what about this? What about that? Can I, as a financial advisor, achieve success? Let me tell you, if in the financial space, in one of the heaviest regulated industries there is on earth, we can achieve an 8-figure exit, friends, there's no reason why any business owner, in my opinion, could not achieve this particular status or this goal or this aspiration. So as we wrap up, let's go back in time and think through what did we learn on this particular series. Now, like I always do, I begin with planning. I deal with planning. And so as we're talking about planning our business exit, especially for the 8-figure aspiration, the 8-figure exit that we're desire to have so bad, we need to look at competitive research. So we spent a whole episode on competitive research and how to do intentional planning to stay ahead of your competition. We also talked about how technology can fit in to your planning role. We talked about strategic initiatives. And then we spoke about year-end checklists, how year-end checklists springboard us into the beginning of the year so that we can drive our companies forward. Just this week, as I'm recording this, is early 2024. Just this week, I had a conversation with a business owner, and he said, and we were talking. I said, okay, here we are in January 2024. We know what successes, what challenges, what opportunities, and what threats we had last year. But if we were to fast forward, we took a time machine and we went a year into the future, and now we're in January 2025. What goals do you want to accomplish in this present year? If you miss these goals, how would you feel? And we had some conversation around how the year-end checklist could drive this particular company forward even closer to its 8-figure exit. And there, friends, they're going to reach it. I'm so excited for this particular firm. So we spent some time talking about planning and how planning is paramount. We also spoke about leadership. Now, I often quote John Maxwell that everything rises and falls on leadership, because in my own life, I have been a flawed leader so many times. Not only in my company, but with my friends, my family. I've just been flawed. I feel so inadequate as a leader. And so we talked about leadership and how culture could be preventing your 8-figure exit. And so many of us deal with this culture beast, this vacuum, this thing that just sucks the life out of us as business owners and our team and our company. We talked about how your senior management team could impact the 8-figure exit and how to break down the siloing mentality. We spoke about why a coach makes sense. I currently coach business owners. I love working with business owners. Maybe you are a business owner. You're like, Justin, I would love to work with you. Hey, reach out to us through the Financially Simple experience. But in my own life, I have many coaches. I was laughing a while ago at my coaches in my life at this point. Today, as we stand here today, I have a business coach. I have a financial planner that coaches me in my own personal finances. I have a CPA who coaches me in taxes. I have 2 different attorneys that help me. In my own personal life, I have a dietitian who helps me with my eating. I have the tendency to gain weight very quickly. And I spent 30 years building wealth in terms of finance wealth to the detriment of my health. And so the dietitian comes along and she's been helping me learn how to control my body and how food works. And let me tell you this, I'm proud about this. I take this is a lot of hard work, but here I am entering January 2024 in the best shape of my adult life. I feel better. My weight is where it needs to be. My blood work is where it needs to be. And I feel good because of my dietitian coach. I have a workout coach, a brilliant individual. She has won many national awards. This lady holds deep respect for my wife and I. She works with us as a couple and a few other couples, and it's been good for mine and Emily's relationship to work out together. But I have a coach there. I have a pastor who coaches me in my spiritual life. So we all have various coaches. What about you in your business? Do you have a coach? We spoke about that. We talked about accountability, responsibility, and authority. Man, that concept, if you can glean that concept and get your team to understand accountability, responsibility, and authority, friends, you can drive your company toward the 8-figure exit that you desire. We talked about succession planning, specifically around handing the baton off. How do you move the company from where it's at today through the 8-figure exit so that you don't hurt yourself on the earnout, on any type of clawback provision, etc. A look-back provision? How do you do this through your leadership? Now, from leadership, we spoke a lot about people. I believe as a leader, as a business owner, you and I have the unbelievable opportunity and dare say responsibility to develop our team. Our job is to help our team develop, growing our team through transition, through hard time, through changes. Our job working with people is to work through change management. Our job is to talk about strategy, how to build a committed team to execute the strategy that we have laid out in front of us. We talked about incentive programs. So we spend a lot of time dealing with the soft, touchy, mushy, feely things that we business owners often don't like to deal with. In fact, I got to confess, here's a confession. Someone asked me just now at lunch, I was out with a very long-term friend who's a client, a man that I deeply care for. In fact, he and my wife grew up together. And we were talking and he said, do you think you'll ever quit? In other words, you think I'll ever quit my aspiration, my passion, the things I love to do, like the podcast? And I said, you know what'll cause me to quit? People, employees, negative culture. He said, well, how do you combat it? I said, man, we just recorded a podcast, several different episodes around people. So friends, if you're struggling right now with your team, as so many of us do throughout the journey of our careers, go back and listen to some of those episodes on people and how you can align your team for the 8-figure exit. Now, whenever it comes to the 8-figure exit, perhaps there's nothing more that's impactful than the operations of your company. So we spent time talking about policies and procedures and how you can drive profitability of your company through the governing documents. We talked about how operational efficiency is paramount, why you have to have an operational strategy. We spoke about QA or QC, quality control, quality assurances. How do you make sure that what you're speaking through the sales department is actually being disseminated down through the operations so that the clientele is actually receiving what your sales team is speaking toward? That was our operational conversation. We looked at what are the KPIs that a business needs to track to make sure they're on the right trajectory for the 8-figure exit. Friends, there's so much around operations. I would dare say that many times we entrepreneurial type, we love the sales game. We love the marketing game. We even love the people game to some extent. We really shy away, though, from operational matters. We often don't throw the right amount of resources, whether that be the talented people to build out the machines or to build the systems and the processes, or nor do we deploy the right amount of capital to make sure that operations are working efficiently. Had the opportunity years ago to begin working with a dentist in the Southeast, and this dentist at the time was doing about $800,000 of revenue. Not bad. That's an average revenue, actually a little bit average revenue for a dentist. And over the last 4 years, this particular business owner who, just worked his tail off, the business grew through all of his efforts and a lot of coaching and a lot of turmoil. It grew to where he was doing mid seven figures, 2-point-something million top line revenue. And he had the opportunity to receive an LOI that was ridiculous. In fact, if I were to say the numbers on the air, those who in the marketplace for dental communities would say, Justin, you're lying. It was ridiculous, his LOI. And when it came down for him to execute, we were talking to the potential buyers and we said, why are the numbers so strong? They said it's because of the operational efficiency that this particular business has and how you're able to glean more NOI, net operating income, with reduced SG&A. So your margin is impeccable because of the systems. We want the style systems so that we can implement this throughout many other companies that we currently own because of operations. One area that we spent a fair amount of time on was sales. I love sales. I'm not really good at it. I'm not an extrovert of a business owner. So many of you are, and I'm oftentimes envious of your abilities just to, rub shoulders and sell things. And I'm very astute in the fact that I am not. So we spent some time talking about the succession planning of moving yourself, you, the business owner, out of the chief sales position. That's hard to do. And in my career now, almost 20 years of coaching business owners, there are several business owners that just won't release sales. Had a client in our office one of my clients that I coach with individually, one-on-one. And 4 years ago, I told him, you need to quit being the top salesperson. He said, I'll never do that. And here we are 3 years later. His sales have now doubled in his company, and he's yet to go on one sales call in the last 16 months because he fired himself as a top salesperson. If you want to know how to do that, go back and listen to that episode. We talked about the power of saying no. No, I'm not going to do it. No, I know it sounds good, but no, we're going to stay focused on where we go. That's part of a sales. The reason why we plug that into sales is because so many of us who are sales minded like shiny objects, and shiny objects are the death. They are the death of a value growth company. It just removes all momentum that we need in our companies. We spent some time through marketing. We talked about what makes the ideal customer. How do you strategically brand your business? How do you position your company in the marketplace? And what KPIs do you need to track? And we tied all those together to say, here's what you need to do to achieve the 8-figure exit. Again, this was a little deeper than our typical type of a conversation one-offs. We were taking the foundation we had laid through the some 400 episodes prior, and we dove down a little deeper to say, hey, if you want an 8-figure exit, here are 4 things that you can do within the marketing segment of your company to achieve the 8-figure exit. Now, we spent some time talking about finance. This is the 7th module that we often look at in business. And finance is one of those things that gets a lot of scrutiny, especially when it comes time to exit. Think about it. A business owner, a buyer are going to be looking at the financials of the company. Many times we business owners don't look at our financials of our companies in the same light that a buyer or a lender or a strategic alliance would look at. So we took the angle through this financial segment to say, hey, what are the financial controls we need to have from a buyer's perspective? Should you have a dedicated CFO? Why not? What is your most profitable service? What are the KPIs you need to track? And we took these 4 major topics and we leaned into them to say, here, if you could do these things, it'll help you reach the destination. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but it will help you reach the destination for your 8-figure exit. There's one thing in business that just drives me crazy, and that is this last component called legal. Things like licensing, HR, taxes, litigation, intellectual property, attorneys. Did I say it again? Attorneys. Let me say it again. Attorneys. They wear me out. And in my 30 years now of being a business owner, 30 years, think about that. 30 years of being a business owner. Way back when I first started my business in my early teens, I remember sitting down with an attorney. And here I am now in my mid-40s, sitting down with attorneys. There's one area of business that, if we're not careful, will greatly, greatly, greatly disrupt our prowess to reach an 8-figure exit, and that is legal. So we spent some time talking specifically to the financial advisors who may own their business, but the same context could be used in each of our businesses. So over the last many episodes, we've been dealing with this strategy around this aspiration, this dream for some of us of having an 8-figure exit. We're now approaching yet another year. We're now in a new year, new beginnings. Let me ask you, what are you going to do this year to move your company one step further to the 8-figure exit? What are you going to stop doing of yesterday, and what are you going to start doing today? And how are you going to make sure that you stay on course for your exit? How are you going to stay motivated? I don't know what this year holds ahead of us right now. It could be an interesting year. We're in an election cycle here in the United States. I know I have some friends across the pond who often reach out to me who listen to the podcast. So we're going through an election cycle this year. Man, I don't know what that's going to bring. I don't know what the economy is going to do. I don't know what the tax rules are going to do. I don't know what politics are going to do. None of us know any of these things. But what are we going to do with, what are we going to do? The things that we can control as business owners, what are we going to do this year that's going to change the outcome to move us ever so closer to that 8-figure exit? Have you thought about it? Who's going to hold you accountable? Do you have the right coaches in your life? Do you have the right people in your life that can speak lovingly but candidly into your life and say, hey, stop, or I know you're tired. You got this. Friends, if you need a cheerleader, if you need somebody in your corner, if you need a coach, if you need somebody with intellectual paralysis who can help you think through very difficult things, hey, we have a team of business professionals who can reach out and help you. To find more about value growth, take a look at the Financially Simple website, all about how to build value in the company. And if you need help, reach out. I'd love to hop on a call with you. Until next time, friends, y'all go out and make it. Man, you got to make it. You've got to take control. It's not going to happen by accident. You got to make it. Y'all got to make it a great day.